Know that I'm here to find out more about questions that have been raised about your operation here. But I can tell you right now that from the few conversations I've had with some of the folks here already this evening, that whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened to them in their whole life.
So let's first start out with the Fuhrer's lies. Non-stop, he lies on top of lies. After a person lies to you one time, how can you trust them ever again? What if they lie on top of lie on top of lie? His speaking style actually doesn't even allow him to ever tell the truth, because he says ever and always and forever and the best and the greatest. So the Visa lottery program, no such thing. Everybody has to go through a background check. Once the people have passed the background check, then there's a lottery. So they've been vetted. They've been, they've gone through the system, and they are high-quality citizens. So he's sitting there saying get rid of the lottery program, as if we just go to countries and we just randomly select anybody and everybody. In fact, that might be a fair way to do things. But what about the people that don't want to go, right? So we're selected people that don't even want to leave. So it's a lie. So there's one lie. Another lie was ISIS. Oh, yeah, we've destroyed ISIS, right? Almost. We virtually destroyed it. So mission accomplished, right? ISIS is gone. He's been in there bombing and killing all these civilians. Thousands of civilians are dead because of your Fuhrer. Right? Started with that American girl, Nora. Nora's dead. That 8-year-old girl's dead because of your Fuhrer. So, ISIS, the best thing that I've heard is 93%. 89% is something else. So, is it 89? Is it 93? It's definitely not 100%. Not even close to 100%. So, it would be like if there was a big polio, outbreak, or an AIDS outbreak. So, AIDS has taken over America, but somehow we tamp it down, and 98%, we've gotten rid of 98% of all the AIDS. Oregon, the entire state of Oregon, there's a big outbreak in Oregon, so, to hell with Oregon, right? Fuck Oregon. It's 2%. It represents 2% out of all, there's 50 states, right? So that's 2% of the country. So 98%, and 98% of the United States, there is no AIDS, except for, that big mess over there in Oregon. So to say it's close to 100%, 93% is not close to 100% in times of war. Either you've eradicated the mess, either you've, nipped this thing in the bud, or there's still pockets here and there, and they're going to keep on sprouting back up because it's the idea. You can't kill the idea. If there's going to be a Jewish state, then people are going to say, well, then there should be an Islamic state. Saudi Arabia is one. We actually support a Muslim theocracy, which doesn't give a shit about human rights, and we're killing, 6 million people in Yemen are starving to death. So the ISIS thing, nearly 100% bullshit. Visa lottery program, bullshit. Biggest tax cut in the world. What about Truman's 1945 rollback of taxes that had financed World War II? So we're fighting World War II. There's the Nazis and the bombs, and the entire nation was fighting this thing. Right afterwards, Truman rolled back all those taxes. We didn't need to pay for the war anymore, so you rolled back those taxes. So you're telling me that rollback is more than his so-called, it's a plutocrat tax cut. 87% of the American people, taxes are going to be raised for the vast majority of the people, 87%. It's what Kyle Kalinske said, at least. So, it's $1 trillion. It's smaller than it was originally intended. But apparently it would maybe the third largest since 1940 as a share of gross domestic product. But, again, 87% of the people's taxes are actually going up. So it's not even helping the majority of Americans. And so, God, a bunch of rich people got a big-ass tax cut is what I'm hearing. So the biggest tax cut ever in the entire world, in the entire universe, in all of history. Nope. Killed ISIS till now, to the end of all time. Nope. Visa lottery program is just one big crapshoot. Just they close their eyes and they just pick people. No, that's bullshit too. The lie I want to talk about was repealing more regulations than any administration ever. Oh, so not only you're just the greatest fucking thing in the world, right? He's repealed more regulations than any administration in the first year, something like that. So he's the strongest, the smartest, the bestest man in the world. I hate the way he talks. The bestest in the whole universe, in all of history, the bestest, right? But that's what he claimed. More regulations have been cut and slashed in any administration in the first year, so it should show you something, right? He's just slashing them. He said for every one regulation that's passed, he's going to cut 2 regulations, as if that makes any sense. In fact, when he signs a law, he's actually adding a regulation because that's a law. So to scratch any laws out, you actually have to pass another law to undo the laws. So to undo regulations, you actually have to pass a regulation. So anyways, real quick to talk about the speech in general, and then I'm going to get to this lie about him thinking that he's cut more regulations in every administration in all of history. So economics, well, the economics have said, go fuck yourself. I'm so sick and tired of these stuck-up, snobby fucking professors. It's the establishment that has created all the problems that we have. So the people that are in power, the people that are in charge, they're the ones that have fucked this shit up. So economics, fuck you, stuck-up, snobby motherfucker. You say economics, I know you're a stuck-up, low-life piece of shit. You think you're better than everybody. You think your shit don't stink. You're smug. You drive a goddamn hybrid and you sniff your own farts and you fucking love it. So fuck economics. Fuck anybody who says economics. I can't stand the way it's economics. That's how working class people just talk like you're supposed to fucking talk. They don't try to enhance their words and make it snobby, you know? In fact, the hillbillies do the opposite. They hear something stupid as fuck, and then they adopt the taters, right? We gotta eat our taters. Oh, that's backwards, it's stupid, it sounds rednecky, fuck it, let's say it. Economics, oh, that sounds stuck up and snobby and, Aristotelian. That sounds, very stuck up and elitist in the upper class. It's just bullshit. It's just bullshit fucking rhetoric. So economics, it's fucking economics. If you're an American, it's economics. Okay? Economics, get back in your ivory tower, you little fucking college boy. You want to do academic work? Okay, off to the side, play. Go ahead and play your little games. But economics, nobody's playing. Economics is what's been fucking us for years. Economics has been fucking the working class for decades. What we need is some economics. We need some real economics that actually helps the poor and the working class and the homeless. You know what my economics says to solve the problem of homelessness? We build houses and we give them fucking homes. That's economics. Your economics seems to be saying something different. The speech was way too long. Nearly fell asleep, couldn't pay attention. It's Big Daddy Strange. What a weird person, the way he talks and his hand gesture, and then he read, pretty decently, read off a teleprompter. I can't stand him, but a stupid person would look at that and they would be inspired. They would be inspired and say, look, he looks loud and powerful and strong and all eyes on him, right? So Democrats are going to lose to him again if they're not careful, though I will say Joe Kennedy's response was good. He does strike me as a moderate. There are some issues that I'm very appalled about, but there's also some really good issues. He's 37. He's not running for president until he says he's running for president. Then I'm not going to, I'm not going to check him. I'm not going to check him just because he's a man. Hey, here's a man who stepped forward and says that he may want to represent the United States. He's somebody new, somebody different. That's exciting. That's exciting. Let's learn somebody. Let's learn, about somebody. You don't have to get excited about him, but this is who this guy is. This is what he represents. And he, besides that fucking spittle or drool or chapstick or whatever, the chapstick. So a Chappaquiddick joke, right? Because let's not forget Jimmy Fallon's a goddamn right-winging son of a bitch. Even though the Stormy McDaniels thing was, it was a pretty good interview. He was actually trying to get to some truth. So, didn't like the speech. I didn't care for the speech. But like I said, to the dumbs, to the stupids, he's talking loudly. He's center stage. Seems powerful. I personally hate the State of the Union. I hated that entire spectacle. That entire spectacle was just so stupid. It was just so it's not human. It didn't look organic. It didn't look like how humans are supposed to interact with each other. It looked like, here's our leader, let's all bow down to Mein Führer. So the biggest thing that I noticed, it was like Jonestown clapping. So the people that are clapping, every time he says anything, in fact, he would clap for his own stuff, and then when he started clapping for his own stuff, then everybody would do a standing ovation. So the dear leader, right, all the Republicans are getting in line for dear leader. This fascism, this totalitarian, tyrannical fascism is getting stronger and stronger. He is strictly manipulating, right, the ones who are standing up. Essentially, Mitch McConnell says you got your followers, the idiots, and then you got your enemies, and that's it. Those are the two people. So if you look at the Congress, right, there are some people not standing up, but they stood up every once in a while, right? They're participating in this charade and this, they have skin in the game. So they want a bunch of pigeons fighting for a potato chip, I think is accurate. Saturday Night Live. So Jim Jones, okay, so a bunch of zombies are clapping. That's what it sounds like to me. A bunch of zombies, we're just supposed to clap. He'll say something like, and then I helped out the veterans because I love veterans, and veterans are good. Start clapping for himself, then we'll wait another 20 seconds after everybody's clapping. It's like, God, this is stupid. So, the veterans are good. You fought for this country, wonderful. But just getting up there and saying a bunch of empty tropisms, empty sort of 9/11, right? 9/11, freedom, rock, America, eagle, John Masters, peace, right? There's my speech if I was a conservative. So, the Jim Jones, just to catch you up, Jim Jones, and then you had Leo Ryan. So Jim Jones is this Christian. He's actually started out as being a fantastic liberal, pushed for integration of public services. He was a communist, socialist, Christian. He started out in Indiana. He started his congregation. He got this, the People's Temple, started in Indiana, moved it out to California, and then eventually went to South America for some reason, in North Guyana. So he's in North Guyana, in the northern section of it. So in 1978, Jim Jones and that People's Temple in North Guyana, they all killed themselves, nearly 1,000 people, 918 total, 300 of them children, and it was with cyanide poisoning. So the after effects, it was just a hillside of lots of dead bodies. But 24 hours prior, right, Leo Ryan went down there to check on them to see what the hell was going on, because they heard reports that there was abuse and some crazy, bullshit that was going on. He goes there, checks things out. As he's leaving, it looked like everything was, good. And it looked like he was going to go back to the U.S. and give a nice little report. But there was also people who were slipping the reporters little pieces of paper and information saying, help us, get us out of here. So perhaps Jim Jones knew that there was, loose lips in his little totalitarian colony. So, he could have started out good with the integration and whatnot, but he kind of went too far. He had this big sound speaker system, and he got people essentially regimented, doing things day in, day out, as he said. So he had, just a cult. He had 900 people all cheering him on, and then the fact that he would just let them, or push for them to all kill themselves, just shows he didn't give a shit about a sheep, right? The oppressors don't care about the oppressed. Do as I tell you. They're ordering you around like a dog and a slave because they don't respect you. So Jim Jones, the idiom, drinking the Kool-Aid, it was actually Flavor Aid, but they drunk a bunch of Flavor Aid with cyanide poisoning in it. 300 kids, this is murder, right? They killed the kids. The adults, perhaps, they could say they had chose the thing, but he was brainwashing them, so they were very much conditioned to just go along with the flow. And there was one woman that tried to speak up, but then everybody was like, we can't do nothing. We can't fight the power. Might as well just drink the Kool-Aid, drink the Flavor Aid. So it's not Kool-Aid, it's Flavor Aid. That's an ode to poverty, ode to the generic brands. So don't drink the Flavor Aid. The Flavor Aid is okay. Actually, Kool-Aid, Flavor Aid, that's sugar water needs a little flavor to it. But don't drink the Flavor Aid means don't go along with the flow. Don't drink what they're putting in the water and going along with the Republicans and the Democrats and what anybody just tells you. So don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Flavor Aid. So it's kind of like Waco in a way. Waco, that the miniseries is coming out. The 82 people had died in Waco, and many were shot, including the 3-year-old or 3-month-old baby, and they said that 3-year-old toddler, and they said, I forget, 3-month or 3-year-old, very small. They was stabbed in the chest. So the 82 had died in Waco. In the very beginning with the ATF, there was 4 or 6 agents that were killed, and then Branch Davidians. So there was 6 of them that were killed. And then the FBI had a 51-day siege, and then at the end they went in and did a bunch of tear gas, and then there was a fire. And then after the fire, apparently the feds insist they didn't shoot one bullet on that day, and that there was a fire at the very end, and then they went in and they found bodies all shot, to death. So 20, people shot to death, 5 that were younger than 14. So a couple kids that were shot to death, and then 1 3-month or 3-year-old that was stabbed to death. So what was that? I don't know what that was. That was very confusing to me. Did they say we can't get out, so let's just shoot each other? If you had time to shoot, seems like you had time to run. So I don't understand why they think that they could shoot each other. Perhaps it was revolutionary suicide, but David Koresh actually said he had no intentions of killing, themselves. So why would he, so I feel like it's a little bit different. Both are cultish, both are Christian. Now, the clapping like Jim Jones, like Jonestown, when Leo Ryan goes to check on Jim Jones in a colony that's in, Guyana, he tells him he's on his way. He told him not to. He shows up anyway. Jim Jones is not happy, but he kind of tries to make the best of it. He knows he's there to investigate him, so Jim Jones put on a little show. And he had a talent show, and they're singing and they're dancing, and everybody seems to be having a good time. And it's all videotaped. You could actually watch this. I actually got a clip. So take a look at the clip.
Know that I'm here to find out more about questions that have been raised about your operation here. But I can tell you right now that from the few conversations I've had with some of the folks here already this evening, that whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened to them in their whole life.
And now you see how afterwards, Leo Ryan, he gets out there and he goes, essentially this thing is, everybody's happy. This is a perfect, loving place. That's my assessment, is that this is a happy utopia. This is a great wonderland. Something like that. Basically give them an endorsement. He didn't say all that, but as soon as he gives some positive praise, they all freaked out.
Everything up to that point was good. Everybody was thrilled that Ryan was thrilled. He just kind of praised us.
I think that all of you know that I'm here to find out more about questions that have been raised about your operation here. But I can tell you right now that from the few conversations I've had with some of the folks here already this evening, that whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened to them in their whole life.
That response to him was spontaneous, it was loud, it was emotional. What I was feeling was, this is an opportunity that I can vocalize how much I believe in what we are doing here. The reporter next to me said, I've never felt anything like this before. And I said, because you haven't felt anything like this before. I actually felt pretty good overall.
So as soon as Leo Ryan gives just the tiniest smidgen of praise, they just clapped and they were so happy. It was so jubilant. In fact, Leo Ryan seemed annoyed. They seem to be clapping too much. It's not real. It's fake. It's a show. They're trying to put on a show to say, look how great and wonderful everything is. Leave us the fuck alone. Because that's exactly what they were saying. And, they didn't like that essentially their dear leader was being fucked with. And so they were very much trying to do what the dear leader wanted, but they probably felt some kind of imminent doom. The next day, he told them, or that night, or I think it's the next day, he said he ordered the hit on the Leo Ryan, so Leo Ryan gets killed. And then he says, all right, everybody line up. Let's drink the Flavor Aid. Let's drink this Flavor Aid Kool-Aid mix. Some people say there was Kool-Aid there, but Flavor Aid. So don't drink the Flavor Aid. Don't drink their Flavor Aid. Don't drink their Cuckoo Cola, right? For you Rescue Rangers fan, here we are. Feel the fizz of Cuckoo Cola. No, Gadget, no. So, yeah, the lie. Repealed more regulations than any administration ever in history. Yeah, right. The bestest, greatest human being ever, best creature. God's wondrous creation, all the universe in history. Now, more regulations. He's cut more regulations than any presidential American. The first one, that's so specific. It's almost like they're challenging it, like, I dare you. This is such a precise little brag. We can't think of anything. Is somebody actually going to go through each and every president? Yes, I did. So compared to Warren G. Harding went in there slashing and burning with the regulations. Herbert Hoover, and then Calvin Coolidge. You had in the 1920s, you had a whole bunch of conservative free market libertarian Republicans. So there was progressives, right? Teddy Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, they called them progressive because they believed in the government actually being strong and standing up to the capitalists and the industrialists. But then they went back to the Gilded Age, these Republican, conservative free market libertarians. Warren G. Harding, 1921 to 1923. Herbert Hoover, 1929 to 1933. Calvin Coolidge was 1920-something to 1929. So Warren G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge, Herbert Hoover. Herbert Hoover, I read this quote, and I can't believe it's actually true, but essentially the people should help the government, but the government should never help the people, not into their individual capacity. So Herbert Hoover was believed in a very limited government, no taxes, limited government, freedom for all the businesses, the rich people to do as the fuck as they wanted to do. Warren G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge said that the business of America is business. This is the era of conservative, free market, libertarian Republicans. Big businesses get to grow as freely as they can, no restrictions, casino-style capitalism, laissez-faire kind of economics, right? This is economics. This is when the smarter Pluto the professors, the ivory tower class, they put their economics on the people, and they said, here's what is best for everybody. Let's let the rich people do as the fuck as they want to do. And Calvin Coolidge is probably one of the last presidents to significantly reduce the size of the federal government. Andrew Mellon, the tax cuts of Andrew Mellon, he was the Secretary of Treasury under Coolidge, I think under Warren G. Harding too. So orchestrated a radical tax reform that we can only dream of today. Such a huge tax. So, 1920s, everything's going well. What could go wrong, right? The rich people get to do as the fuck as they want. You got low taxes, no tariffs, free market, laissez-faire, right? Just wheel 'em and deal 'em, casino style, random chance, dog-eat-dog capitalism. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Well, the Great Depression happened, so oops, that didn't go as planned, right? So the free market, conservative, libertarian Republicans of the 1920s, Warren G. Harding, Calvin Coolidge, and Calvin Coolidge ends 1920. That's when the Great Depression happened. Herbert Hoover had all those Hoovervilles, and he was like, look, I know you guys are poor and you're starving and you're dying on the streets, but I'm Herbert Hoover, and I'm a libertarian Republican. I'm a free market anarchist. So I don't think I should help you. I'm not going to help you, you poor fucking people. I'm not going to provide jobs or food or housing or clothing. Figure it out yourselves, because that's what the economics professors are telling us. Figure it out for your own goddamn selves. So you had a bunch of Hoovervilles. Everybody's supposed to help the damn government. Government can't help us. If we don't have a government that helps us, why the fuck do we have a government? Why do we have a government? So Calvin Coolidge, he would be the last one, and, for essentially because the Great fucking Depression happened. So after they said, oh, maybe having a bunch of rich pricks do as the fuck as they please, didn't seem to trickle money on everybody else. So the economics didn't go as planned. The Great Depression happened, and that was a 25% unemployment rate. So 25%. In Appalachia, it's like 30%, Detroit, Michigan. So there's actually places in the United States that's experiencing the same unemployment as the, Great Depression. Now, actually, unemployment is very low. So we'll give the Fuhrer credit for that, 3-4% supposedly. But a lot of people aren't even counted in that number, so that unemployment number is very particular. Basically, those who are willing to work and are looking for work. That's what that's based on. So they don't even count the children or the old people or anybody else that's not even looking for work. So the pool of working people is actually. So anyways, that's more regulations in any administration. He didn't have more regulations than Warren G. Harding and Herbert Hoover and Calvin Coolidge. Trump did not have more regulations. He actually raised regulations. So he wants to say he repealed more regulations. For every one regulation, 2 was repealed. He actually increased regulations. So it takes, first of all, it takes one rule to repeal another rule, right? So the research by the Mercatus Center at George Mason University shows that regulatory restrictions actually grew during Trump's first year, but at a much slower pace than other presidents in their first year. So that means there's actually more regulations, not less. Trump is Mr. Regulation, Mr. Tariff, Mr. I don't give a shit about free markets. I'm all about regulations. I'm all about law and order and more laws and executive orders and tariffs. He's the executive. He's putting more laws and more laws into the books every day. Every time he signs an executive order, he's just adding more regulations. So, are you being serious, man? You've repealed more regulations in your first year than every other president. 45 presidents? He's number 40. So the past 44 presidents. He's cut more regulations than all them combined, huh? There is actually something that he's talking about. So Trump signed 15 Congressional Review Act measures. So Congressional Review Act measures, so essentially just checking their books and kind of modernizing this shit. Obama had signed one in 2016. So Trump is good at signing Congressional Review Acts. He just, signs Congressional Review Acts, right? So that's what he does. He signs Congressional Review Acts. And so more regulations. He wants to say that he has eliminated more regulations. He's actually increasing regulations. Well, what about, to compare and contrast, the Massive Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995? You remember the Massive Paperwork Reduction Act under Bill Clinton, 1995? That was a regulation apocalypse. What about the Unfunded Mandates Reform Act of 1995? That was a regulation massacre. I mean, they're neoliberals. They're cutting regulations, too. They're going for war. The Democrats are very much Republicans. They don't have their own identity. So that's what the Republicans, are good at. They'll stand up for their stupid-ass ideas, but the Democrats need to be progressives or fuck them. If you're not a progressive, fuck you. Democrats, I'm not. If you're a progressive, I'll give you credit. Joe Kennedy, I took some shit for Joe Kennedy. He doesn't seem like all an out-and-out neoliberal corporatist. He seems like he is moderate. And he's 37, so he could get better. Remember when RFK started talking against the war? That's when the Vietnam War was going to end, when RFK started talking against it. So the Massive Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995 was more elimination of regulations than what Trump has said. You're Fuhrer, you're, President Shithole, President Batshit, President Shit for Brain, Batshit, Shithole, dumb fuck, clown, ass clown, fuck face. So Unfunded Mandates Reform Act of 1995, Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995. These were regulation, machete the shit out of regulations Bill Clinton did, and then the Regulatory Flexibility Act of 1980. That's, they're still pissing their pants over the Regulation Flexibility Act of 1980. Regulations are scared to death. Holy shit, you remember that? You remember that massacre? You remember that apocalypse? You remember that nuclear bomb dropped, Regulatory Flexibility Act 1980. That's Ronald Reagan or Jimmy Carter. Both of them actually deregulated, heavily regulated industries, banking, telecommunications, trucking, and air travel. So there's been lots of cutting of regulations. 1995, two major ones under Clinton. 1980, major one under, I'm going to guess Reagan, but Jimmy Carter. And they cut, is this good? We let bankings do as the fuck as they please. We let the media companies do as they please. Now Six owns all the media. And then the trucking, right, that's the union, the truckers union. They broke the truckers union. The air traffic controllers were fired. So repealed more regulations than any administration ever, right? Oh, yeah, okay, Donald, yeah, you repealed more regulations than any administration ever. Shut the fuck up, man. You didn't pass as much as, the Clinton did in 95 or Ronald Reagan did in 1980. You didn't do as much as Calvin Coolidge or Martin Van Buren. Martin Van Buren was a fucking beast. Martin Van Buren, he killed over 2.5 million regulations in 2 years. Which is, 2.5, it's just, millions, right? That's how many per year. And then MBB, that's what they called Martin Van Buren back then in the 1840s. MBB, he macheted the fuck out of regulations. Whenever MBB saw...
That I'm here to find out more about. Questions have been raised about your operation here. But I can tell you right now that from the few conversations I've had with some of the folks here already this evening, that whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened to them in their whole life.
Oh yeah, compared to Martin Van Buren's going ballistic on regulations. Martin Van Buren's a regulation murderer. Whenever regulations saw Martin Van Buren, old MBB's coming down the road, regulations would go run and hide. No. Martin Van Buren would sashay into a room and the regulations would sashay into their little holes, into the potted plants where, anyways, the old MBB smothered 165,347 regulations in the bathtub before Taft even got stuck in it. That's how many regulations. He smothered them in the bathtub, but not before William Howard Taft got stuck in that bathtub. So President Shithole has actually increased regulations. Compare and contrast to Martin Van Buren, he doesn't even compare and contrast, but he's actually increasing regulations. He's making more regulations. Martin Van Buren had 0 tariffs. Martin Van Buren actually believed in free markets. That's why he didn't have any tariffs. President Shithole, he loves tariffs and executive orders. He's a Mr. Regulation man. So President Shit for Brains, President Shithole, increased the regulations. So the laws aren't laws until Mr. Regulation signs and adds them into the cacophony of inanity gibberish. Mr. Regulation Man is responsible for the millions of executive orders and millions of laws he's already signed. Mr. Regulation passes more laws every day. He doesn't even read them all. Nobody does. That's how our system works. He's creating more regulations, more laws. He's just adding stuff. Executive orders aren't even real, but he just keeps signing them away, just keeps on signing them away like a goddamn dictator, like a tyrannical dictator that he is. He signed 15 Congressional Review Acts in 2017. Good. Obama signed 1. So what? These Congressional Review Acts, sign them all day long. Go ahead. Do the Congressional Review Acts and clean up the laws as much as you can. Let's have a constitution that we all abide by. Do you want to, I wish we had, right now we're at war and we never declared a war, so we don't even abide by their own constitution. Does anybody know how our government's supposed to actually work here? We're not even listening to our own constitution. How does anybody know what the hell's going on? So the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995, the Unfunded Mandates Reform Act of 95, the Regulatory Flexibility Act of 1980, regulations are still pissing themselves over that. 95, Trump's 2017 didn't compare to 95. 2017 didn't compare to 1980. So 2017, what about Martin Van Buren's 1837, 1841? He was slicing and dicing a whole bunch of regulations in there, except for, the regulations for American slaves. For American slaves, it was nothing but regulations. It was regulations all day long. Regulations here, regulations there, and nothing but regulations. Martin Van Buren thought that the rich could do as the hell as they wanted, but for the black folks, same thing with Andrew Jackson. He hated the debt, he hated the banks, and he also didn't want regulations either. Americans, he also he hated the Americans that were here before the white people got here. The Chickasaw, Andrew Jackson was all about regulations, right? There's Indians, go regulate them. So these laissez-faire presidents seem to be very much for regulating the poor people, but not for the rich. These economic motherfuckers, right? They're listening to their economic professors. What did the economics professors say? Oh, the economics professor said, is that what the economics say? Economics, God, shut the fuck up. You're not better than anybody. You say economics like an asshole because you're a stuck-up, snobby prick. You're not better than anybody. Fuck. Jimmy and Ronald Reagan, right, they deregulated air, travel, trucking, banking, telecommunications, and actually fuck the media, fuck the media, fuck the banking, fuck the economy, the trucking, the air traffic control of the unions. Wages have been stagnated ever since these laissez-faire to get up there. So just to review the top 6 most libertarian presidents that we've ever had, Grover Cleveland, he pushed for the gold standard. He was against low tariffs, and he was for free markets. Anytime a farmer or a veteran or anybody said, hey, can I have some money, Grover Cleveland was like, nope, go fuck yourself. Grover Cleveland happened to be a president during the Gilded Age, so oops, laissez-faire, casino-style capitalism brings in the Gilded Age, brings in a Great Depression. Martin Van Buren, right, Andrew Jackson, that's number 2 and 3. Thomas Jefferson, number 4. Calvin Coolidge, he brought in the Great Depression. Oh, yeah, the business of America is business until business robs everybody blind, as greedy folks are prone to do. Nobody's got any jobs or homes or food. It's massive unrest and unrelaxation. But at least the rich people get to do as the fuck as they please. Yeah, let's the greediness of the 1%. Let the greediness of the 1% dictate our entire economic fucking system. That's the economic system. The rich can do as the fuck as they want, and the working class and the poor get fucked over. Yeah, great economic system. Fuck your economics. You cared about economics, we wouldn't have poverty. If you cared about economics, we wouldn't have homelessness. That's what the fuck economics is. Calvin Coolidge fucking brought in the Great Depression. Grover Cleveland brought in the Gilded Age. But there are more laissez-faire capitalists. There are more for limited government, free markets, low tariffs than fuck-face dipshit stinkhole. So poverty, President Shithole will never know what it's like to be poor, right? He says his father only gave him $1 million loan. Yeah, right. Did your dad give you $1 million loan? Yeah, none of yours. They don't know what it's like to forego going to the hospital unless you're near death because you don't have the money. They don't know what it's like to go to an entire another building to get into your vehicle or your bicycle or go some other place to wash your clothes. They don't know what that's like. They don't know how to wash their clothes in the bathtub. You're going to have water or internet. You're going to forgo some of these luxuries such as internet or maybe cell phone. No, do you really need a cell phone? They don't know what it's like to be poor. They don't know what it's like to be poor. You get internet at the library, right? So hell, maybe you should not have internet. Just go to the library and get the internet there. So overall, just don't forget, compare and contrast to the other presidents. There's other presidents that's cut more regulations, and this asshole, he's actually increased regulations. So he's not cutting, he's trying to, right? I got that picture. He's trying to, but he hasn't cut more regulations than every other president ever in the world, in the history of the universe. So he's a liar. You never forget that. Mr. Tariff Man, Mr. Law and Order, Mr. signs lots of executive orders. He's had more laws, more executive orders, more laws, more tariffs. That's more regulations. This president is increasing regulations, not decreasing, and he's a lying, cock-sucking son of a bitch. And he's not cock-sucking. That's homophobic. He's a lying, not cock-sucking son of a bitch. That not cock-sucking son of a bitch, he is not a cocksucker. Trump ain't a cocksucker. Where are my cocksuckers at? So Trump's a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit. He's a lying piece of shit, and he increased regulations. He did not decrease them. So don't forget that.
You know that I'm here to find out more about questions that have been raised about your operation here. But I can tell you right now that from the few conversations I've had with some of the folks here already this evening, that whatever the comments are, there are some people here who believe that this is the best thing that ever happened to them in their whole life.